Hi, in this video, I'm going to be speaking about what is really holding you back. What is really holding you back from you showing up as you, sharing your message, sharing your art. Because right now, more than any other time that we've been alive, do we need more people to be showing up as their authentic selves, sharing their knowledge, their wisdom, their energy, their essence in birthing through the new reality. There's been so many of us that have been working behind the scenes, underground, really doing, personal and professional deep work in clearing the inner clutter and the densities and the programs and the conditionings and all of the limitations that gave us amnesia to the truth of who we really are. Life has presented these invitations, these initiations to build your energetic muscles, to strengthen your frequencies, to broaden your capacity to be a channel of high frequencies and greater levels of consciousness. And with that, the density of the stories of not enoughness or the fears about what other people will think or what other people will say, or fears about, showing up and failing. It's all this impending pain that we think we're going to have if we actually fully surrender to what wants to come through us. Our expression, whether it's through communication, through writing, through art, through just, being yourself. The fear, this is where it's like, okay, let's unfuck your mind. Because all of the fears that you have around what people will think, what will happen if you fail, what will people say if you fail. Let me just pause right there, because there's never been anything that I have failed from that I haven't actually learned from. That's how we learn. I remember when I first brought my business online in 2010, I had the time difference wrong for a call I was having in Canada, and I totally missed it. And I remember how hard I was on myself. And that does not help. It does not help if you're hard on yourself, you're making yourself wrong. When stuff like that happens, when you fail, and you're not going to learn, you're not going to grow, you're not going to expand if you don't try something, if you don't do something. You never really know why you're led to do something until you actually do it. I can look back so many times where my intuition was guiding me didn't make any sense, any logical sense. And they were some of the most magical times, serendipitously meeting people, connecting with people who became clients and friends and part of my community. And so the failures, when that's happening, just ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What am I meant to learn from this? How can I do it differently? What is here for me? If you're really stuck in the struggle, you're really stuck in a space of in that process of dismantling, any kind of way that you beat yourself up or make yourself wrong or hold yourself guilty or shame. When you're in that process, you may not be able to see so clearly, what am I here to learn? And so you can ask yourself, what is here for me that I can't see for myself clearly? What is here for me that I can't see for myself? And what that does is when we start asking these questions, that's how you build your muscle to that greater aspect of you, to your personal AI system, to your higher self, to your connection to source, whatever you want to name it. You are so much more broader than what you're seeing in this physical human body. So the other piece that was coming through today about, we hold ourselves back because we're afraid of what will happen, what pain might happen, what somebody will think, what somebody will say, and then we won't be liked, and then we'll be abandoned and alone, and the snowball effect, right? So there's a part of our human psyche that wants to make sure we survive. But here's what I want to tell you. First of all, is that what somebody thinks of you, first of all, it's you've heard the saying, what somebody thinks of you is none of your business. It's none of my business what anybody thinks of me, because it's typically a projection from themselves or what they've decided who I am through the filter of their own perception. So it really doesn't matter. But what was coming through was no one really cares about you that much for their opinion about you to matter any more to you than how you matter to yourself. That was some unfuck your mind alchemy right there. Because it's not so much about the words that I say, but the frequency that comes through me. And, so many of these stories about, the not enoughness, the not worthiness, the all of the stories and reasons, that we tell ourselves that prevent us from actually having the experiences that we want. Those are coming up right now for release. So you might start to see them in your interactions with people. Events may happen in your life that trigger an old wound or an old pain. And you can actually get ahead of this by starting to consciously and intentionally choose what it is that you want for your life. Because when you really choose what it is that you want, whether it be a business, whether it be love, whether it be health, whether it be more money, whether it be, finally starting your own business, whether it be, starting to just let the walls down and let who you are come through. Oh, oh, okay. We're on fire here. Where was I going with that? Just so that's it. I was like, I could feel the energy coming through. That's hysterical. So all of the stories. Okay. So when you choose the stories, the lies, the programs, the conditions, the things that you've made mean about yourself, these narratives and stories of limitation are going to come to the surface. You're going to feel them in your body. You're going to feel things, but be careful not to name them something, not name them that it's fear, that it's anxiety. When you start to go beyond your comfort zone and step into the experiences that you really want for yourself, what you've been holding in your body must move through you. So while it gets uncomfortable, just rather than see it as something wrong, see it as it's a purge. There's a purge happening. This old density's got to come through. The beliefs got to leave. The limitations, the fears, and yeah. And I can't express enough how worthy the work is. How worthy the inner exploration is to improve the quality of your life, to improve the quality of your friendships, your connections, what you are capable of vibrationally aligning with and drawing into your life. Because we're always doing it, right? It's having the experience of what we want is about alignment. And that comes with needing to release the stories that you've been told that you aren't worthy or you don't deserve it, or it only can happen in this way or that way. And I'm just going to leave it with this, as that the fears around showing up, all right, they wanted me to say this again, is like what anybody thinks of you is really so insignificant to the value of you showing up as your full self, your vibrant, your authentic, your fierce, your empowered, your brave, courageous, speak your truth even if your voice shakes self is way more valuable and has a greater ripple effect of the positive change that so many of us are working towards creating in this world right now. So much more value than the what people think of you or what people will say about you, or even what you said about yourself. Let it all go. It's time to just put it all down, because if you can really take a look at all of the energy that you're putting towards trying to hold yourself back, or trying to not fail, or worrying about what other people will say, that if you just took all of that energy and put it towards creation, put it towards funneling towards more of the experiences that you want and bringing yourself into alignment, and taking that energy and using it to create chaos alchemy, like using it to somebody just came outside with their pink leopard pants on. They're cool. So putting it towards, because where your attention goes, energy flows. So if you are always in this space of worrying about what people think or holding yourself back, you're gonna experience more of that. And it's going to get to a point where your comfort zone just becomes way too uncomfortable for you to hold yourself back. And listen, you're in this life experience right now, and if there's any of the stories that are holding you back, and you know it, and you know that you know who you are can have the ripple effect of change and positive impact, just share who you are. Just show up, even if it's a smile to somebody in the grocery store, if it's a compliment to the grocery store clerk, if it's a extra tip to your server, if it's, carrying groceries in for your neighbor, like what, we all don't have to be in these leader roles. Like, we are all leaders. We are all in this together. And however you're inspired to show up more as your authentic, real, heart-opened self, then do it. Okay, this is the really last thing, is that because ultimately what's happening, this density as it's leaving, is that we're being guided to be able to connect more deeply to our heart. Our heart, listen, I'm not a doctor, but I think we can be brain dead and still alive, right? I don't know that we can actually not have our heart working and still be alive. But just stick with me in this, is that I see from a broad perspective the power that our hearts have, the frequency that comes from this heart space. I personally and professionally know that our heart space is a powerful, potent magnetization, manifestation, alignment center. And when we've been through these experiences of traumatic births, abusive childhood, trauma, loss, grief, at early ages when we didn't have the capacity to emotionally process what was going on, and we made beliefs about ourselves, and then we were passed down from previous generations poverty wasn't people are still living in that, but even the generations before, where the Great Depression, right? That's in family lines. The stuff that had happened in, oh my gosh, the genocides. And I mean, it's not far from the generation that is watching this video right now, the generations. And so that, I'm not even sure, like, why is that coming through? Oh, our hearts. So what happens is that we start to close down our hearts. We start to build walls around our hearts, right? We protect this really sacred, powerful energy center. And then, then we continue to go through life, and we have breakups, and we have friendships end, and we have, people die and leave our life, and betrayals, and, affairs, and our hearts get broken, and we just keep closing them down. And what's really being called forth right now is to be like opening our hearts back up, allowing this new earth to be birthed through all of us, to like finally, because what we're seeing outside of us are reflections of these walls that we built in around us. Inside this hologram, we're seeing the reflection back of the stories that we still hold within us. And so in life, we're being guided, we're being triggered to release these walls, to release these densities, to release these pains and these programs, these conditions and these limitations, so that we can be more in that heart-centered 5D heaven on earth experiences, remembering who we are these, superhuman, human body channels of consciousness, having these life experiences. And so in this human experience, we're needing to delete these old programs and stories. And that's what life is reflecting back through people, through experiences, through situations, through circumstances. And rather than getting emotionally triggered and wrapped up into the whole story and narrative, it's about allowing it all to move through you, using your breath, putting your attention on not so much survival and fear and what could go wrong, but what am I creating? What am I heading towards? Because where I put my focus, my energy goes. And quantum physics says where I put my attention comes together. So where are you putting your attention? What is it that you are ready to birth through? And it takes courage, bravery, and tenacity to be able to move through this stuff, especially when there's so many around that want to stay in the story and want to stay limited and are being, I just see like the energetic attachments to their brain being controlled by greater narratives that are less than supportive of the superhuman experience. That's what's coming through today. Felt very strongly that somebody needed to hear this message. So if you catch the replay, let me know what landed here for you. James says, I so had to learn to unravel my intellectual vision of self in order to transcend to my true self. Well said. Coming from a fellow intellectual who's was told she's too smart for her own good. And it has certainly worked out to my benefit in all of the ways. And to surrender and allow the true self to come through is definitely a journey, because there is physical, emotional, and energetic disruption as these aspects of ourselves are, pulled out or up for release, and the things that we hold on to so tightly around us to feel safe or connected or okay are ultimately the biggest things that keep us anchored away from allowing our true selves and the life that is available for us to come through. Because I'll tell you, my life does not look anything like I thought it should. And in letting go of all of the things, right? I don't think that we have to like settle or necessarily hit rock bottom, but how I feel in my life is incredibly different than when I had all of the things. When I say things, I mean corporate job, I mean bank account, I mean, vacations, the house. And I always strived to feel how I feel now, which is free, which is emotionally empowered, energetically empowered. Yeah, freedom was always my thing. And knowing deeply that I wanted to have an impact on the world, but I didn't know what it was going to be like. And it took me a while to get there. I was 33 when it all happened for me. And all I can say to you is, rather than making yourself wrong than anywhere than you are right now, like tying this whole video together is, just realizing that wherever your focus goes that's where your energy goes. And so if you can surrender and knowing that you're always being led, and take any focus that you have around fear of what other people will think or what people will say, and really just deepen the relationship with yourself and your intuition, you're going to be led to incredible places. It's like, let the human get out of the way and let the superhuman come through. And, life does become magical. I'm not saying it's without hard things or hard experiences, but there is absolutely ways to move through these intensities, these upgrades, these shifts in consciousness, and doing the inner work and the healing. It doesn't have to take a long time. And this is coming from somebody who, many of my corporate jobs were always about getting the fastest way from A to B. What was the fastest, most efficient way? My brain works that way. It's very easy. It's like, how can we do this? And there were times when I was working through my inner work and, bouts of emotional upheavals, and I worked to find the fastest, efficient way out without bypassing, and with being empowered in and through the whole experience. It's uncomfortable for the human sometimes to put that to-do list aside, to put yourself as a priority first, to feel the eruptions, the energetic eruptions as these energies and frequencies are moving through your body. But there's a way to work with them with ease. A lot of you can find breath work is a lot of the ways, but you understanding yourself so deeply and connected to your own energetic frequency, I feel like is the biggest gift that you can give yourself, and understanding how to do that. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks so much for tuning in. So much juiciness came through. I hope you felt the energy. I did. And I'm going to go, I don't know, I'm going to go get myself some lunch, but I don't know. There's some play that I don't know what it's going to look like. I just keep hearing play, and I went for a really nice drive today. I'm going to post a couple of pictures through town. The air outside is fresh and it's crisp and it feels amazing. So get outside, get some fresh air, breathe it in. Ask yourself some open-ended questions to let your higher self come through with the answers and the response and the guidance. And yeah, let those walls down around your heart and let the world see who you really are. We need more of that. Thank you for tuning in.